Hey everybody, welcome to The Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. Mirai Nagasu is here with us, Olympic figure skater, fashionista, does a little bit of everything. Mirai, it's great to meet you. How are you?
Good, thanks for having me today.
Of course. So we'll get into the reasons why you're here in New York City, but take me back. Growing up in California, skating comes into your life. How did it all begin for you?
Well, my dad wanted me to be a golfer, which makes sense because it's California and it's always sunny. But one day it rained and my mom decided to take me to the ice rink, and kind of snowballed from there. I would ask, instead of to go golfing, I'd be like, can we go skating today instead? And so my mom would take me to the rink, and my dad says that he was really set on me becoming like the next Michelle Wie, so that I ruined his dreams. And he's like, Mariah, you could have been in like so many better schools, and like you could have had better scholarships. But with figure skating, it's a very individual sport, so it still hasn't really hit the school system. So I had to pick skating.
So when you think back on that now, do you ever wonder if you had gone that golf route, how different life would have been for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I probably would have been a little more tan and
traveled to some different places.
Yeah.
Maybe not as cold, maybe a little bit warmer.
Yes, but I think the winter sport was in my blood.
I think it worked out for you, that's for sure. So you start skating, and then when do you realize that you have the ability to do this as a career, to really kick things into the next gear?
I think every athlete feels this way, but especially in a judge competition, but I always was fourth place girl. Even in the Vancouver Olympics, I was fourth place, and I would always tell my mom, I'd be like, Mom, I'm better than this, and I really wasn't. I was actually horrible growing up, but I would tell myself, I'd be like, I'm really, really good, and I have what it takes. But I had no clue. But I guess my mom wanted to believe in me, and so they kept taking me to the rink, and I kept training, and you know, I started out really young. I won my only title, my national championship at 14. Wow. And so I was committed at a very young age.
So you're having success at a young age, and then the idea of the Olympics comes into the picture, and training for the Olympics is an insane commitment. So when you first make the team back in 2010, what was the most fulfilling part of that journey for you?
I think I definitely felt like an underdog going into that championship, and Sasha Cohn had decided to make her comeback, so I didn't even think I was going to make it onto the team. And so just to be there, you know, I guess in hindsight it would have been nice to get a medal, but sometimes it's not always about the medal, it's about the journey. And just to qualify as a 16-year-old was such a huge deal. Yeah, and to think about it, you work so many years just to make it to the Olympics, and to soak it all in was quite the experience. Yeah,
and the people that actually compete in the Olympics, I mean, less than 1% of the population. So whether you get a medal or not, I mean, it's incredible that you even got there. And so you were saying before that you didn't even think you were that good. So when did you get the confidence that, okay, I actually have some skill here and I can do this at a high level?
I thought I was really good.
But you were just trying to downplay it a little bit?
When I look back, I'm like, oh, I was really awful.
But you were young. I mean, come on. You make the Olympics at such a young age. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
But we're trained to, when we put in the hours of work, to feel confident.
Right.
And so sometimes it comes off as like cocky and egotistical, but I like to think of it as confident.
I gotcha. So obviously the skating world is interesting because it's cutthroat, a lot of judgment. I mean, it's constantly you have to think about keeping your body in shape. So what was the biggest shock for you as you entered this system, as you entered the Olympic round and everything? What was the biggest surprise that you encountered?
And at the Korean Olympics?
Well, even the first time you were in the Olympics, or just like being a part of this whole figure skating world, because like you said, very individual. You know, similarly with gymnastics, it's like a lot of pressure on these competitors. So what was most surprising as you're starting to train in these circuits and then you go to the Olympics for the first time?
At the first Winter Olympics I was at, I remember I had, right before I skated, because I skated very last in the whole event, and I skated right after Joanie Rochette, who had the performance of her life. I had my earbuds in. It still had the wire because it's like back in the day now.
Back in the day, of course.
But I had it at full volume, and I could still hear the crowd. And I was like, oh, and you can tell how someone skates by the way the audience reacts. So I I could gauge it, and I was like, oh my God, she just had the performance of her life, and like I was like, and especially when you don't know how you're gonna do out there, like there's no guarantee that you're gonna have the skate of your life,
right.
or you might fall on your face. And so I was like, oh my God, if I fall, like that's the last thing that they're ever gonna see in in this event. And so I was like, like it was just a lot of pressure, and I remember I was like, oh no, here we go. Before, like, you just let your muscles take over.
Absolutely. So you go from that 4th place finish and achieving success at a young age to 4 years later not making the team.
Yeah.
And like you said, the journey is really
quick turnaround.
Very quick turnaround. So how did you deal with that adversity at the time? I mean, I'm sure it was a disappointing situation. So how did you deal with that?
I did a lot of carpool karaoke.
That's a good way to de-stress.
Like crying. So like I'd look over and I'd be like, why? And people would be like, what's wrong with her?
Like, I'm dealing with a little something. Yeah. Just trying to get it out of my system.
Yeah, but singing in the car was probably the best therapy, and you know, I thought about quitting a lot, especially because I was like, I think there's more to me as a person than just my skating, but it's basically, it was my job. Like, I would go to the rink and skate, and then I'd go to the gym for skating, and then I'd fuel my body for skating, and everything was for skating. And so to have such a huge letdown, it took its toll on me. But I thought about when I looked back when I was an old grandma, and if I would be happy with that decision. And I thought about what a younger version of myself would do, like if I would regret quitting. And I was like, I think I can be better. I think I can work harder. I think I worked hard leading into the Sochi Olympics, but I could have worked harder, and that could have, should have, would have put a fire under my butt.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, like you said, you could have quit, could have gone into something else, and then 4 years later, you get back on it, you make the team. What was that moment like for you?
It was really fulfilling, especially when I landed the triple axel at the Olympics. It's, you know, in the individual event, I fell on it and I popped it, and so it's a really difficult jump, even for me. And so to have that moment where I was able to land it like that, it was everything I wanted it to be, because I can't even tell you how many times I fell trying to learn that jump. I
bet. I mean, to put it in context, there's only a few women that have ever been able to land that jump at the Olympics, and you're one of those women. And then also, that performance helps your country win a bronze medal. Yeah. So after everything you've gone through, despite the individual results, what was it like to have that bronze medal finally in your possession?
Although it's such a material thing, it's a medal, it's more the journey of what it symbolizes that means so much. And so to put it around my mom's neck and to watch her cry, I think that every Olympic medal, it's not just the athlete or the person who earns it, it's the team, and it's the group effort that it takes. And that's why the Olympics means so much. And so, you know, especially in the team event, there's no event like that for figure skating. It's really, really cool to have been part of a team, you know. I could hear even before, I get goosebumps thinking about it, but right before I skated, for figure skating, we only get 30 seconds to get into our spot once they call our name. And I was so in my head. I talk to myself all the time, and so I was like, this is it, girl, like, whether you fall or you're going to go for it full force. And I was so in my head that I forgot about that rule. And I could hear my teammates go, get in position! And I was like, oh no. And
you're like, I should probably do that, right?
Yeah, and it really felt like a team effort. And so I think that was my favorite part about being at the Olympics, being part of a team.
That's awesome. So when you think about Vancouver compared to Pyeongchang, what was the biggest difference in terms of the overall experience for you?
In Vancouver, I was so young. It was all about soaking in the experience and enjoying myself. In Korea, I think that as you get older, you feel more the weight of your country and you understand the responsibilities that you've been given. And so it's a lot more pressure to handle, but at the same time, it meant a lot more. And so So overall, I think I really enjoyed Korea because, you know, as a baby, I didn't know anybody at the Olympics, and I was really naive, so I had no clue what was going on. And to be able to fully appreciate the Olympic message and to be there with Adam, you know, 4 years ago, we were crying while watching the Olympics, and then to stand on the podium with all my teammates, and especially with him, because we were crying at home, and then we were on a podium all of a sudden. It didn't happen instantaneously, and so I think, you know, it was amazing to have America behind us and to watch our journey.
Yeah, no question about it. And you mentioned Adam. You guys have obviously been friends for a long time. So
A long time.
tell me where that journey first began with him, and what's it been like to see him grow and just to have that friendship continue to grow.
The first time that I met Adam Rippon, that was when I had won my first senior title, and he goes, "Hey, Maga Naga," and I go,
You talking to me?
Yeah, he goes, you. I know you just won, but I can't remember your name.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I don't even know who you are. So, and then, you know, it's just that vibrant personality, and I was like, I don't care that he called me Maga Naga. We're friends. And since that was over 10 years ago now. Yeah. And so, you know, as figure skaters, we're very, very set on our own goals. But every time we come together at a competition, we don't train in the same locations, but it's always like seeing an old friend. I mean, I guess now, over a decade later.
I mean, it's a pretty old friend, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So you were in New York City doing some fashion stuff, DSW. So how did that all come together?
I was very fortunate that they'd reached out to Adam and myself and said that they're all about self-expression, and they really appreciated the way that we represented ourselves at the Olympics. And shoes are one of my favorite things.
Yeah,
you know?
big into the shoes?
Yeah, because shoes you can just look at and you know your shoe size, and it's really easy to just try them on and fall in love with them, and they can really say a lot about your personality. And so yesterday we had a store appearance, and I can't even tell you how excited I was to meet so many of our fans.
That's awesome.
And for them to appreciate our story really meant a lot to me. And so I think this partnership has been great for me, because look at these shoes.
Look at those kicks.
They
nice.
Customize
What do we
them.
got here?
Ooh, just a little flower powder.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, it's fun to customize and showcase our personality, and I hope our followers do the same, you know.
I don't think I've ever seen Converse as cool as those right there.
I wish I had the artistic ability to do this too.
Hey, you know what? It's still a part of your overall being. That's the most important thing. So fashion seems like it's going to be a part of the next chapter. When you think about your life outside of skating, whether you go back into serious competition or not, what else do you still want to do in life? I know public speaking is something you're interested in, but what else would give you fulfillment in the next chapter?
There's a lot of things that I want to try. I think that, you know, I made a lot of sacrifices for skating, and growing up, I didn't get to travel. I traveled a lot for skating, but you know,
that's your job.
Yeah, when you go compete, the only things you really get to see are the ice rink and the hotel.
Yeah, you're not walking around the city.
No, no. So I would love to travel the world, and I think that I'm very fortunate that my parents taught me to appreciate different cultures and diversity, and so I would love to go to India, and they actually have a race in India where you get like a broken wheelbarrow kind of cart, and it's a race,
Really?
And at some point it breaks down and you have to figure out how to fix it. But it's kind of like The Amazing Race,
Yeah, that's
but
what I was
way
thinking.
more intense.
All right, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
so you're interested in
doesn't
something
it?
like that?
Yeah, but traveling the world, I should probably go back to school too.
Probably a good idea, yeah.
As soon as I made the Olympic team, I dropped all my classes, and it's been hard to get back into it, but it's only been 4 months, so
Right.
I'm easing back into it slowly.
You got some time. You'll make it all happen. But yeah, obviously when you've been living this one crazy, hectic life, to go into the whole school life. It's not an easy transition, not an easy thing to balance in general, whether you're an Olympic athlete or not. I mean, my girlfriend right now, she's a softball coach and she's doing a master's degree and going crazy trying to do it.
Yeah.
So I totally get
Coffee
what you're
is
going
probably
through.
her best friend.
You know, she's not a coffee person, but a tea person. Lots of tea. Loves the smell of coffee.
One or the other.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the coffee person in the relationship.
Same.
So you're going to school, when you were going to school, it was in Colorado.
Yeah.
Tell me about spending time in Colorado. We have some folks in Denver that we work with here. So whether it's Denver, Colorado, what do you like about the state?
I love the smell of fresh air in Colorado. It's just so crisp. You can kind of taste it, basically. And I love looking up into the sky and seeing the stars. Before I made it to the Olympics, because we had no clue. You know, you work so hard for this goal, but only 3 people from your country in each division even qualify, and the U.S. is huge, so the amount of talent is huge. And so I would look up into the stars and be like, I don't even know if this is gonna all work out for me. And I'm not really a religious person, but I like to believe in the universe. And so, like I said, I'm like a talker, so I'd be like talking to the universe. I'd be like, is this all gonna be worth it for me? Like, you just never know. And so you just kind of have to blindly have faith and keep going. And you know, I'd always look at the stars because there's nothing like a Colorado night sky.
Very interesting. So you're a California girl.
Yep.
Are your parents still running the sushi place?
Of course.
All right, so tell me, what are your favorite sushi rolls then? Let's start with that.
Oh, okay. My dad is quite the comedian, even with his limited English. So he has a roll called the high five roll. I don't get it. It's like, how do you high five a sushi roll? But that one's really tasty. And he's also a jokester, so he likes to see how far he can push his customers with the spiciness level. And so he likes to like grow ghost peppers in his own yard and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And I like to test my limits as well. So I like to see how far I can go with the spices. One time, actually, my dad gave me a handful of wasabi. And he was like, Mirai, this is green tea ice cream.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, it's not cold, Dad. It's not cold. And he's like, it's room temperature ice cream. And I was stupid and gullible, so I ate the whole thing. So I like spicy, but to this day, I don't like wasabi.
I could certainly understand why. So when you think about California, give me a couple places that you like to check out, some memories from the past that are just really fond to you about the state of California.
Ooh, I like hiking a lot, so there's actually a hiking trail really close to me. I guess I live out in the boonies in Arcadia.
Right.
I'll be like, oh, I'm from Arcadia, California. And they'll be like, where? So civilization stops at Pasadena.
Right.
But everybody knows Pasadena because of the Rose Bowl.
Of course.
But not Arcadia. But there's a hiking trail called Mount Wilson that's really beautiful. And what else? Obviously, in California, I'm a foodie, so I'll make the trek wherever for some good food. And I know I'm Japanese, so most of the time I exclusively eat sushi at my parents' restaurant because they get the fish at the same market as all the expensive restaurants. So if you're looking for a good deal, my parents' restaurant. And my dad also makes good ramen for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah, sushi and ramen. And then I'll go for, I think that's why, I think it's easy to gain weight in California because the food is so good. Yeah.
I think people would agree with that statement, but then you can hike it off, right?
I try.
Exactly. So, Mirai, when you look to the next phase of your life, but also appreciate what you've done, what can people learn from your journey so far in life?
I wish that I was as awesome as Michael Phelps and had like 20 gold medals, but I think I'm that person that people relate to because I fall a lot in the public eye, but then I get back up and keep going. And I think that's something that is really important in life, is when life throws you curveballs, you just kind of have to dodge them or get hit by them, but get up and keep running. And so I hope that's why people like me, and that's why they cheer me on. But yeah, that's my message, is like, get hit 7 times, get up 8.
There you have it. Mirai Nagasu, Olympic skater, fashionista, doing it all. Mirai, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time here on The Sit Down.